beat my dog with a pipe, so I made sure he never walked free again. My dog Shadow wasn't just a pet, he was family. He was a rescue, half-starved when I found him, ribs showing through his fur, eyes that looked like they had seen nothing but pain. But once he came home with me, everything changed. He was loyal, protective, gentle, the kind of dog who would nuzzle kids and sit at my side whenever I was sad. He wasn't just a dog, he was my reason to get out of bed in the morning. That's why what happened still makes my blood boil. My neighbor Vince had always hated Shadow. He was one of those men who thought being cruel made him powerful, loud, drunk most nights, bragged about bar fights like they were trophies. He'd shout across the fence, "That mutt barks again, and I'll shut it up myself." I thought it was just talk. Until one evening, I let Shadow out to the yard while I was fixing dinner. 5 minutes later, I heard a sound I'll never forget. The kind of yelp that isn't a bark, isn't playful, but a scream of pure pain. I sprinted outside and froze. Shadow was lying in the dirt, sides heaving, his fur soaked in blood, and there was Vince, standing over him on his side of the fence, holding a metal pipe. He smirked, wiped sweat from his forehead, and muttered, "Told you I'd shut him up." Then he walked back to his porch like nothing had happened. I scooped Shadow into my arms, heart pounding, and raced to the vet, begging him not to die in the passenger seat. The vet's words were knives, broken ribs, collapsed lung, permanent limp if he survived at all, hours of surgery, thousands of dollars. Shadow made it through, but barely. I sat by his side that night, staring at the stitches and tubes, whispering promises through tears. And in that moment, I made a vow. Vince would pay, not with fists, not with shouting. He would pay the way cowards fear most, by losing everything and rotting in a cell. I started with evidence. Weeks earlier, I had installed a camera facing the yard after Vince threw bottles over the fence. That camera caught it all. Vince dragging Shadow by the collar, swinging the pipe, Shadow collapsing. I backed it up on 3 drives, printed still frames, and called the police. At first, they said it might not stick, so I dug deeper. I canvassed the neighborhood. 2 kids admitted they saw Vince hitting the dog. Another neighbor heard Shadow screaming but was too scared to step in. Then I pulled Vince's history. Police reports for fights, a restraining order from an ex, prior complaints of animal abuse that had gone nowhere. I handed it all over in one neat package. When the cops showed up at his door, Vince laughed. "What? It's just a dog. Don't waste your time." But when they showed him the footage, his smirk cracked. He was arrested on the spot. The trial was long and brutal. Vince strutted in at first, smirking like he owned the room. His lawyer tried to claim Shadow was aggressive, that Vince feared for his safety. But the footage spoke louder than lies. The jury saw him raise the pipe. They saw Shadow collapse. They listened to the vet describe the injuries, the surgeries, the trauma. They saw photos of Shadow wrapped in bandages, barely conscious. Vince's arrogance melted into panic with every word. When the verdict came, the courtroom was silent. Guilty, felony animal cruelty, assault with a deadly weapon, 6 years in prison, no parole for the first 3, lifetime ban on owning animals. As the judge read the sentence, Vince shouted that it wasn't fair, that it was just a stupid dog. But to me, and to anyone with a heart, Shadow was never just anything. He was family. And for once, the system agreed. Shadow still limps when he runs, but he's alive. He still greets me at the door every night, tail wagging like the world hasn't hurt him. And Vince, every night when that cell door slams, he hears the echo of the yelp he caused. He remembers the camera, he remembers the jury's faces, and he remembers me, the man who didn't break the law, but still broke him. He thought he was strong because he could swing a pipe at something innocent. Now he's caged, powerless, forgotten. Shadow survived. Vince didn't. And that's the difference between cruelty and justice.